Welcome everyone to Gen Z Guidebook. We are here with Ms. Chaya Srivatsa and she has been a journalism faculty in Presidency College.
Journalism is not a subject, it's a skill. How do you spell luck?
L-U-C-K.
No, it's W-O-R-K. Everything in my life, I never gave up one for the other. Don't ask what you are getting, ask what you are giving there. Take every opportunity that comes your way and wherever it is, whatever it is, give your 100%.
Ma'am, could you tell us your journey, that how did you get into journalism and the field of it?
I got into journalism by default because way back in 1962, I wanted to take up journalism. Didn't know anything about it. But I used to read newspapers and all. I want to write there. I want to see my name there. That was the attitude. And the only college which offered journalism was Maharaja's College in Mysore, where I grew up, okay? But my father said, no, you're going to a women's college, you're not going to a co-ed college. So I had to drop and come to a women's college, Maharanis, and do the usual history, political science, blah, blah, blah. And I dropped the whole thing about being a journalist. Nearly 10 years later, after I was married, my husband was in the Indian Navy, so he was transferred to Visakhapatnam. It was a small town, one-horse town at that time, okay, way back in 1973. So I used to read a lot from the naval library. I used to bring books and read. And I would tell him when he comes for lunch, you know what, I read this book. And he said, you're reading all the time, why don't you write? I said, okay. So I wrote my first article. The next day when he came for lunch, I read out my article. It was called No Sabbath for a Woman. That is, there's no Sunday for a woman. He said, good, why don't you send it to Deccan Herald? I said, okay, sent it to Deccan Herald. And a week later, I got a check for 32 rupees. They accepted it and they put it out in the middle. You've seen that middle column, right? And believe me, since then, I must have done about 500 medals for them. Okay, that was the beginning of my independent journalist career. Later, I happened to meet Vimla Patil in Bangalore, who was the pioneer editor of Femina. So she came to speak to wannabe journalists in Bangalore, and I asked her, ma'am, will you give me a job in Femina? She said, when you're in Bombay next, come. So then when my husband got transferred to Bombay, the first thing I did was to meet Vimla Patil in Femina. And she took me on board as a sub-editor. I was there to fill in a leave vacancy. Another person had gone on leave, so I took it up. And in those 3 months, believe me, I learned a lot about how to put a magazine together. Because in those days, there was no computer, no Google, nothing. We had to do a lot of research ourselves. And she was a fantastic guide, mentor. One of the best editors I've ever met. I learned a lot from her. So that was the beginning of my journey. And then once you're set out on your journey, you go here, you go there, you do this and you do that. And
If you have been in the journalism field, right, so there is a lot of research, back in those days. In this generation, you have Google, if you want to look at something, you just Google it. So do you think that Google has affected it badly for
I
journalism?
won't say badly or good or anything. I won't make a judgment on that. But I remember writing something about Parsis. I wrote for Deccan Herald. It was a Sunday Herald front page article, okay. I went to the Bombay University Library. I sat there and sweated it out for a couple of days to read a lot of books on Parsis. I met a number of Parsi people in Bombay and put that whole article together, which came out on the front page of Sunday Herald. I don't know if many journalists would do that kind of donkey work today. And I would go and interview people wherever they are. I remember my best interview was with Datta Samant, who was a trade union leader. And he was a deadly trade union leader, who brought the whole textile industry to a grinding halt because he made them all go on a strike. Somebody said, why do you want to go and interview him? I said, because nobody interviews him. I want to know his point of view. And he lived his office was in a place called Ghatkopar. Maybe Ghatkopar has improved over the years, but at that time, no, I had to go through pigsties and. Okay. I don't know if many journalists would do that today. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. Not hard work. It's a go-getting attitude that we had. I want to do Datta Samant, wherever he is, I'll go there. So again, this was for Deccan Herald. In a way, Deccan Herald used me a lot because I could get them stories from Bombay.
If you wanted something and you have to go there, but it's not safe for you as a woman, or just to get it, so would you still do it?
You know what? There was nothing called not safe for women at that time. I mean, I didn't go and interview some deadly narcotic dealer or something like that. Okay, you choose your subjects. Okay. But one interesting thing was, I remember Vimla Patil called me at about 7 p.m. She said, Chaya, tomorrow by 12 o'clock, I want you to give me an article on discos. I said, ma'am, I've never been to a disco. Then go now. So at 10 o'clock in the night, at that time there were only 1 or 2 discos in Bombay. Okay, one of them was in the Oberoi Hotel. I went there at 10 o'clock in the night. I lived in Colaba, so it wasn't a big commute for me. Okay. So I went there and I saw everything that was happening. I came back home and typewriter, no computer. Tick, 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 tick. Okay? And you have to be very, very careful how you type because you have to roll it out and put another sheet. I did it, and at 12 o'clock I kept it on her table the next day. Okay? She said, Chaya, this is what a journalist must know. Deadlines are important. That's why I call you when I want something urgently. And that's what I learned from her. Deadlines are important.
Outside your comfort zone, you had to do something for, to get an article done, but you would have never done it if there was not an article related to it.
Okay, this is not exactly the answer to your question, but this is a big story in my journalism journey. At that time, there was this beautiful Festival of India show on Doordarshan, and that was the only channel. And there was this lady called Anita Raj from New York who was the host of that. She was amazing. I would watch every episode of Festival of India because I was an MC myself in Bombay. So I wanted tips from her because she was such a super MC. Now, I was working as an advertising consultant with the Taj Hotel in Bombay, okay? And I was talking to somebody and I heard, yeah, I'm Anita Raj, I just came yesterday. My ears pricked up. I said, oh God, she's here? And I heard her saying, I'm staying in Sun and Sea or somewhere in Bandra. I went home, I called up Sun and Sea, and I asked, Anita, can I get an interview with you? I'm an independent journalist. Meanwhile, Vinod Mehta was the editor of Sunday Observer in Bombay. I went and asked him. I said, would you be interested in an article about her? She said, sure, I would love it. Go ahead. So I had the okay. I called her up. She said, you have to come by 9 o'clock tomorrow because I'm catching the flight back to the US. And I'm in Colaba. It's monsoon time. I wore my plastic chappal, I wore my nylon sari, I took my bag, which is rain waterproof, took my camera, everything, and took 2-3 buses and everything and reached there by 8:55. So she gave me the interview. It came in Sunday Observer, huge photograph of hers, and I forgot about it. 3 months later, she called me. She said, hey, I'm in the Taj Hotel. I'd like you to come and meet me. So I said, okay. Went to meet her. She gave me a beautiful Nalli's Kanjivaram sari as a gift. Okay. I thought that was it. She said, no. I'm going to do a series of video on South India. I've taken the footage. I want you to come to the US and write the script for it. Now, I've never done a script for a video. I've only done print journalism. Do I say no? I said, yeah, sure, but I can't come for 6 months. Can you come for 3? I said, okay, I'll manage that. That was my first trip to the Big Apple at her expense. And she had this fabulous apartment in Manhattan, 52nd Street, right in front of Fordham College, next to Lincoln Center, next to Central Park. And she had given me this apartment in the 9th floor. I said, oh my God, if I had not gone there that morning, I would have lost this opportunity. So I worked for her for 3 months, wrote out the script. I sat with the editor while she was editing, learnt about editing. I came back to India and made my own films. So I did one for teachers. It was called Managing the Students of the 90s, because it was in the 90s. Then I made another one for the company where I worked as a chief of PR. It was a public sector. I did one on things like don't waste food in the canteen, 2-minute films. Put off fans and light and when you go out of your things like that, which got me the Best Institutional Video Award from Association of Business Communicators of India from Bombay. So if I hadn't gone to meet her, all this wouldn't have happened. Okay? Today youngsters ask, what's a package? I never ever asked what's the package. For me, the opportunity was important, and what I could learn from that opportunity was important. And I learned a lot.
Do you feel like, every opportunity that comes your way, you should not think that if you want to do it or not do it, you should just do it because, you learn something? Or do you think that, also do you think that does luck play a lot of role in the choices that you make in life?
How do you spell luck?
L-U-C-K.
No, it's W-O-R-K. Now, if I hadn't watched Festival of India, I wouldn't have known who she is. And knowing who she is, I could connect. Oh, here's the person I'd like to meet. So there are, in life there are dots. You connect those dots. Isn't it? It's like that rangoli you put, on the floor.
Yeah.
You have to connect the dots. So in life also you connect the dots. Another interesting thing that happened was I used to be a radio presenter for All India Radio, Bangalore and Bombay. So I had to interview this lady who was the sheriff of Bombay, Mrs. Nasrullah, an elderly lady, very elegant, very graceful person. And I finished the interview, and when we came out, she said, Chaya, my dear, will you do something for us? I said, yes, ma'am, what is it you want me to do? She said, we run an NGO called Vaitalik, which in a week, 3 times a day, in the evenings, in the Taj Hotel, we hold a 1-hour classical dance performance for foreigners. I'd like you to MC those. But we can only pay 7 rupees 50 paisa per hour. Will you do it? I said, don't even pay me anything, Mrs. Nasrullah, I'll do it. What an opportunity this is. Because we lived in the quarters just diagonally opposite the Taj Hotel. So I didn't have to commute also. See how it comes, the dots, how they connect. I worked with them for nearly 7 years at 7 rupees 50 paisa per hour, doing the shows for them about classical dance, because I was a dancer, so I knew all about the different forms of, and those who came there just loved it. But what are the other opportunities I got? Maharashtra Tourism, they invited me to MC the cultural program on board SS Rotterdam, which is a luxury liner which had berthed in Bombay. No one's allowed on it, but I had to go and MC the cultural dance. Why? Because I did this for 7 rupees 50 paisa. And companies like Philips and Wyeth, John Wyeth or some big companies had launched programs. They would invite me to do the MCing and paid me good amount. So I never left the 7 rupees 50 paisa job, because it gave me a platform to discover my own talent. So this is what I tell youngsters, don't ask what you are getting, ask what you are giving there. What do you bring to the table? What kind of skill set do you bring there? And when you bring it, you'll get what you deserve.
Thank you everyone for watching. Keep watching for more such exciting videos.